With 3 plants across the city, there are plenty of opportunities to start or grow your driving career. They offer great pay, medical and retirement benefits, paid time off, and they cover the cost of CDL training. Apply today and receive a $2,500 hiring bonus. Since 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today with Ready Mixed Concrete. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's nebcoinc.com.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This isn't any regular heat. This is nuclear heat. Live from the 93.7 The Ticket studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. Bringing you the latest from the Square Circle on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Jake Bockoven.
Yes, it is Nuclear Heat, and it's time to talk some wrestling here on 93.7 The Ticket. Happy to be with you here on a Sunday night as we dive into it. Just about 2 weeks away from SummerSlam, and it's a two-night SummerSlam here this year. So we'll see how that kind of works. We're starting to put the card together, and I think it's looking pretty good. I'm getting excited for SummerSlam here around the corner. Of course, there's been a lot of premium live events, a lot of different things going on from Evolution to Saturday Night Main Event. And this week, we kind of get to see them move on from those storylines and start to get into SummerSlam. So it's been interesting. I'm going to be completely honest. SmackDown, it reminded me of like going through I don't know if you remember like Raw versus SmackDown 07 or something. Yeah. You played those games back then when you'd have story mode and be kind of random, but there'd be some, general wrestling tropes in there. And that's kind of what SmackDown was to me, with the whole police getting involved with the car crash and Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa and all that. So it's a bit interesting, but I thought Raw was very good, and there was enough on SmackDown, at least with the contract signing with Cena and of course Cody Rhodes coming up for SummerSlam, to make it interesting enough to dive into. Once again, I'm Jake Bockoven. This is Nuclear Heat on 93.7 The Ticket. With me, as always, is Nuclear Heat contributor, my tag team partner, Augie Pena. Augie, are you starting to get a little ahead of SummerSlam? Well, we're going to run down the card here in a second, but it's a lot of kind of fresh matchups, some new tag teams, and the matchups that do have, that we've maybe had seen before, have a lot of long-term storytelling into it. So, if anything, it might not feel stacked as far as like, and there are major names left and right, but maybe your long-term rivalries, although there is the overwhelming Cena versus Rhodes, which has kind of been the story of wrestling the last year or so. But it's just got a lot of big names and fresh matchups, which I'm excited for.
Yeah, me too. And, I think what they're doing at SummerSlam is something they need to do at WrestleMania. Is it seems like these matchups are set up only for SummerSlam. Some of them might go past beyond that, but that's kind of what they're giving us. And like you said, we're seeing the Cody Cena stuff, that this might be the end of that. John Cena's got 5 months left. We've got 5 months left till December. You got CM Punk Gunther, that's something that's been foreshadowed for over a year now on there. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I just think they're doing a good job of building them up 1, 2 on that. But man, they're still, while I'm excited for it, I'm going to be that guy. The thing that's just really bringing me down about it all is the fact that Jelly Roll is on that match card. I'm sorry. That just, there's a bunch of memes going around. It's like, we're at that moment when we'll call it as it is. Like, he's doing a great job getting himself in shape, but an out of shape country rapper, I don't really know what genre he does, is beating actual full-time wrestlers. people are like, that's a problem, and I think that is, and I know what they're doing because they were on a late night talk show, I think, and they started brawling. But this is the one thing about wrestling that WWE that kind of maybe puts me off a little bit is when they go so hard, like the Travis Scott of it. They go too hard on the celebrity portion of it that it just, it's kind of, it's supposed to help, but I feel like it's doing the opposite. It's putting too much of a spotlight on Jelly Roll. And then you got Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, and Randy Orton kind of just on the back burner. And that's one thing I'm not really excited
Well,
about.
we'll see what they do with that. If you aren't caught up there, and this week wasn't so much about Jelly Roll. Last week was all about Jelly Roll.
Yeah.
But this week we got a little break of that. But it's going to be Randy Orton and Jelly Roll against McIntyre, Drew McIntyre, and Logan Paul at SummerSlam. And yeah, I mean, it's the celebrity, bringing in and hopefully getting a different audience to tune in because they want to see what Jelly Roll's going to do. We've seen Logan Paul is a pretty good example of a celebrity, wrestler that has turned into a full-time wrestler that's been very good. We've seen Bad Bunny kind of drawing different crowds. So, it over the last couple of years, and of course, Mike Tyson and all the celebrities before that. But it is interesting that they've gone as far as to give him a match. Yeah. Now, I like the fact that Orton and McIntyre and Logan Paul are all working it because they are all, McIntyre and Orton, obviously veterans, and Logan Paul, just a great example of what a celebrity wrestler can be, I suppose. But it's one thing to do a spot, a choke slam, which he did in his previous run here. I wouldn't say a run, just an appearance a year ago or so, or whatever it was. And then it's different to get involved into a storyline. So it'll be interesting to see how it kind of plays out. And it's at least giving us the McIntyre-Logan Paul pairing for now, which is interesting enough. So I would call it intrigued, not altogether, bought into it. It's not the most exciting match for me, but I don't think it's been terrible, just because of the way that they've done it. And we'll see. I mean, if it does kind of draw in an outside crowd, and see what the reaction is to it. But I'm not like you. I'm not completely convinced a full match was the way that I would go with Jelly Roll, but we'll see.
Yeah, this just, I mean, unfortunately, it has three, like you said, three great wrestlers, but this might be the match I kind of, let my dogs out, go the popcorn match, go to the restroom, something like that. And also one more thing I got to say is the 2-night things, they're killing me.
Yeah.
Because they're on weekends, just in general. People have families, Saturday and Sunday, we work Monday through Friday. Like, I love, being able to watch my wrestling and all that fun stuff. But I think premium live events, they need to kind of chill on having either back-to-back nights or 2 nights. Cause that's a lot, and this is a good complaining, but that's really hard to keep up with nowadays, to watch it in the moment. Because by the time, I mean, if I miss a premium live event, 5 minutes after it's up, if I'm on any social media, the whole thing just got spoiled. And you're like, you can't even, watch it later. You got to pretty much isolate yourself. And even on that, you got notifications, things like that, on there. So that's kind of the rough thing there. I understand it. We're getting spoiled as wrestling fans is what we should say. But man, that's tough. Those 2-nighters.
Well, it's not just Saturday and Sunday. It's Friday night SmackDown, Monday night Raw. It's 4 straight days of wrestling if you want to keep up on it to the highest level. And to your point, it's just hard to catch every one of those, especially live, and to dedicate that time away from family and friends and work and all that stuff. So it's a lot of wrestling that they ask you to keep up with. But it keeps the storylines going and makes it kind of fun and fresh. So we'll see. I mean, I agree with you though, and especially for our show, because we're going to be talking, as the final night of it's going to be going. So I'm assuming, Cena and Rhodes and the whole deal. So we'll see. I don't know which one they're going. Gunther and Punk could finish it. We'll have to see. The card as we know it right now. You give me 1 to 10 your excitement level for this, so we'll kind of see where it's at. Cena and Rhodes.
About an 8.
An 8, yeah. Mm-hmm. Again, it's been the kind of the overwhelming story over the last 6 months or so. Mm-hmm. Gunther and CM Punk.
That one, I'm about a 9. I think that one could potential for match of the night there.
Yeah, Punk's still looking to try, of course, to get championship gold in his WWE return. Gunther coming off the big victory over Goldberg. Tiffany Stratton and Jade Gargill.
About an 8. They have potential. They were some bigger hyped. Jade obviously needs to work on her in-ring ability, but I think if they both go out there and do something, it could be a great match.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. Two of the young women, and wrestling and coming up. And of course, once the champ, we'll see if Cargill can join her on that list. Naomi, Io Sky, and Rhea Ripley, triple threat.
I mean, this one I'm gonna say a 9, just because all three of them are great performers, and we just saw what Io Sky and Rhea Ripley did. You add Naomi, who's also a high flyer, willing to risk her body.
Yeah,
this could be a lot of fun.
Naomi's really good in ring. I always like Naomi in there. And we'll see, like you said, Io Sky and Rhea Ripley just put on a show. They also put on a show at WrestleMania with Bianca Belair in there. So that one, again, very easily could be matchup of the night. How about the third matchup here, Lynch and Valkyria, Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria?
I think this one about a 6. They do a good job, but I don't know what it is about Lyra Valkyria. I still can't. She's great in the ring and everything. They haven't really gone to the bird all that much. That's kind of like a side thing for her now, but I don't know what it is. It's just going to take time for me to get used to, getting behind her on that.
Yeah, it's always interesting. We haven't made it to two. We've been pretty forward about the fact that we don't quite get it with Lyra Valkyria. I can see it again, the wrestling, the talent and all that. It's just that they've put, it looks like if they allow her to regain her championship over Becky Lynch, and it looks like the way that they've done it, that would probably be the moment for the face to win there, is that they're having her go over Becky Lynch and Bayley, of course, and do a lot of storytelling in the last several months to do so. She's been, Valkyria's already had 2 belts, although it was, kind of for a short time there. So it's just always interesting. And again, we'll go back to it, is because when, her and Chelsea Green won the Intercontinental and U.S. title, it's like, okay, where do we go from here? Who do they see the star in? They see the star in Valkyria. We, at least myself, see the star in Chelsea Green. And they've decided to full go Valkyria. And I would have loved to see Chelsea Green into anything like this, but I don't think you'd have to feed her the veterans. I think she could make it entertaining on her own. But again, I don't run the business there. There's a lot of different things going into it. And they've strapped the rocket to Valkyria. So I'm interested too there. I mean, I'm still interested, but I'm kind of with you where, it's a good long-term storytelling, and it's been enough of an interest level there to kind of keep me just there, right? I mean, Valkyria and Bayley were fighting again for another opportunity, and I was stuck between, they've done a good job, I want to see how all this ends, and let's just find another competitor, at least for a minute, for Becky Lynch, because you had an opportunity. I mean, that would, anything you threw at her would be fresh for SummerSlam. But instead they went that way. All right, Orton and Jelly Roll versus McIntyre and Logan Paul.
I'm gonna give this one a 4. I'm sorry, I can't. I mean, you throw in Jelly Roll. We know how this is gonna end. He's gonna get a finisher in there on Logan or Drew, and this is too script. It's too predictable on this one. I'm just not. Yeah.
At least for his name, at least Jelly Roll, he doesn't have to change it. That's a good wrestling name.
Yeah, it is. It's a good wrestling name. He's got the look, all the tattoos. A little extreme. I know he's probably a great guy, good artist, all that stuff. I can't get behind this one, man.
What was Piper Niven's name before it was Piper Niven?
Dewdrop.
Dewdrop.
Oh,
I think Dewdrop and Jelly Roll would make quite a group.
I forgot
quite
about
a tandem.
Dewdrop, man. I'm betting she probably hopes everybody forgets her name was Dewdrop back in the day.
I think she's better off as Piper Niven.
Yeah.
Let's go with Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu, set to be a steel cage match.
Yeah, I think this one could be an 8. This one could be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of interference in this one, and you're just kind of waiting to see who comes back, who does all that stuff.
Then we've got Judgment Day versus Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair.
I think this one could be fun too. This one's about an 8 as well.
Yeah, so if you kind of look, up and down it, I think there's also the possibility Dom and AJ Styles we'll see this week if that gets added to the card. And then some sort of Roman versus Braun Breaker, or what a lot of people are kind of probably thinking is Roman and Jey Uso against Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Which one of those two would you prefer?
Man, I love watching Roman. And, I think that could be fun, but I think the AJ Styles and Dominic Mysterio match can be a lot of fun because they've been really teasing us for a while. Dom has the papers, can't, he can't, or the doctor's note. So he can't perform, can't compete. And this has been like a month or two in the making. So I think that could be a lot of fun, but man, Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed.
Oof.
I think that could be a lot of fun.
A lot of talent in that ring. And they did bring back Roman. We'll get to that later in the show, which is certainly going to help the star factor at SummerSlam. I mentioned, we already mentioned Cody Rhodes, Cena, some of the other names that are in this. But you have to question too, what would Seth Rollins be doing here with, without that injury? Because he was a lot of what the the programming was, and based around, especially with Reigns coming back, and that's what kind of felt a little bit, a little bit missing, I think, with Roman Reigns coming back, and I didn't know if it was the right time because I mean, if he comes back when Seth is out there, the place blows up, and we want to see what happens next. So I mean, that's kind of the questions. What would Seth Rollins be doing here? And you wonder, but one way or the other, at least the briefcase would be in there, and I'm sure he'd have a match.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. That could have been the perfect way to, this Rollins injury, whether it's still legitimate or not. It's weird. It's been a week. Haven't had an update. They're kind of playing it on the back end side. Paul Heyman, saying can't disclose the injury just yet. So that's a little curious on there. But yeah, that would have been huge if they would have went with those plans. We kind of talked a little bit off air about it. I mean, if it is a work, there's the perfect opportunity with another guy he doesn't like to do something fun there. So, they can be really creative. But if it is a legitimate injury, all the possibilities. I mean, that's what's fun about WWE is you can fantasy book all of these here. But if it's, with Roman, like you said, coming back, that that storyline could have been perfect. You got CM Punk going against Gunther. Let's say Seth tries to cash in on that. Roman stops. Like they could have done all that fun stuff in there. So I agree. If Seth wasn't hurt, man, the possibilities.
Yes, between that or like a Roman and Seth showdown, one-on-one, which is what I thought we should have got at WrestleMania. End up throwing CM Punk in there. It's still a great match. But I would love to see that with their current iterations. And, sometimes with the former group members, it feels forced. This one wouldn't necessarily feel forced. So that would have been nice. But we'll see what they can do. We'll see what the health of Seth Rollins, obviously, is going to factor heavy into that. Let's go ahead and get into the programming for this week. A lot of it kind of set up what we're just talking about here with Monday Night Raw. We'll open up with that and then get into SmackDown. Raw, Naomi kicked off Raw with her new championships. She was kind of denying the "you deserve it" chance. You could tell the crowd still into it, but she's a heel, so you kind of, do your best to kind of fight it off. But it was good to see her get that recognition. Rhea Ripley comes out. She says one thing about her, she's not cautious, so that's kind of exciting. Naomi, by the way, basically put into end the Bianca Belair, kind of stuff that she had going on, and then certainly as well with Jade Cargill. Didn't necessarily, that's one of those deals where she lost to Jade Cargill. I think we're all ready for that to be done. So it's fine, but she didn't come out the winning side of that. But that kind of set up more the surprise that she would cash in and be the champion. But it feels like they could always go back to that at some point if they need to. But certainly I think they went the right route. Rhea Ripley and Io Sky again argue that they deserve a shot. Adam Pearce announces the triple threat for SummerSlam.
Yeah, this is great. Like I said, Io and Rhea, they put on probably one of the match of the years, one of the greatest women's match of all time, I would say. And they didn't get to finish it because of the Naomi cash-in, but this is one of the things where here we go again with the Hulk Rhea stuff, or the Rhea Cena stuff. It's why would you give her another opportunity when she hasn't beaten Io Sky, things like that. She's not winning number one, contest. She's just being handed opportunities now. So if you're a Naomi fan, I'd say watch out because, I don't think you can have Rhea lose this much, right? And being at SummerSlam, the biggest part, I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of titles change hands, and I think this is going to be one of them. But it goes back to that. Why, I get Io, a rematch there, and I think that Io and Naomi, just the two of them, could put on, a really great match, and it'll be fun with Rhea. But other than she's really popular, on there. But
she was fighting in a match for the championship. She didn't get a settle.
Well, I mean that too, but this is like her 5th consecutive, championship match. And come on, we talk about, with the whole Lyra Valkyria, Becky Lynch, you want someone new, someone fresh. The same could be said for, for this, because it seems like Rhea's always involved in the title picture, which, would be fine every once in a while. But this, like ever since WrestleMania, it's like she's been the main, competition in these. And it gets a little tiresome.
Well, it's just interesting because it was so thought that when they did this kind of Rhea Io run-in together, remember they were friends, but then they were kind of costing each other matches. I just thought it was a 2-week thing. I thought it was just, all right, let's, get something for Rhea to do real quick before we get to, her real championship defense. and it's turned into this thing where they're not getting separated for, the last several months, and they're putting on great, performances and great matches. So I think they've kind of got to the point they can rely on an Io and Rhea great match, and for a lot of people, it still feels good enough if you throw something new into it. And certainly Naomi kind of kicks off something new. It's interesting. Is she going to be a transitional champ? She's not, as we know, a lot of people know, I suppose, with the Money in the Bank cash in, every woman that's ever won Money in the Bank has been able to cash in. She continues that. But is there a long-term plan for heel Naomi? She got enough of a crowd reaction.
Yeah.
All three of these women did, by the way, for the opening of this. So this is exciting. But it makes you wonder who's going to come out of that. Usually in wrestling, you kind of have at least an inkling of what's going on. I mean, I think with Naomi just winning the championship, I might favor her a little bit, but it truly is a triple threat where I wouldn't be shocked if any of them came out as champ.
Yeah, I mean, look at her brother-in-law in real life, Jey Uso. He won it at WrestleMania, and then, I mean, I would say he lost it fairly quickly, after everything going on there. So, it could happen. And I mean, with Io and Rhea, I mean, those are two, former champs that are really, I mean, the crowd's behind Naomi, but talk about the crowd being behind Io and Rhea. I feel like it's just as that. But Naomi's been doing some great work, as a great heel. I know she put the rest that Bianca and Jade storyline, but I don't think that's over. I think there's something there. I mean, they had Bianca's a special guest referee. Something's going to happen there. You can almost bet on that something's going to come back with that. But I don't know. I'm torn. I didn't. This is going to sound bad. I didn't want her to win the championship, the briefcase. I know she's doing great work. She's probably one of my last picks to win it out of that group. And then, she has a surprise cash in, on what we were calling one of the best matches of the year on there. So she's done her work. So she should deserve a decent reign. But I don't know. This just kind of smells SummerSlam. Like, if it was a regular premium live event, I'd say, okay, she's going to be successful. But the fact that it's SummerSlam, which is essentially the WrestleMania in the summer, I think she's going to lose.
Well, it's sometimes just too how they position these, your champions. And a lot of times you want to think, okay, they're the champion. Now they're going to go on this big winning streak and they're going to hold this and they're going to be held up there in the company. But sometimes the company looks at them as, okay, they found a way to the championship, and Money in the Bank is a way of finding your way to the championship, but still maybe not a top dog as far as booking. So it will be interesting to see if they want to run a lengthy championship reign with her, or, just kind of make it part of the story. At least they gave her something and something big here for her return. I remember when she first started returning, she was just kind of being thrown into every which match. You're just kind of like, all right, let's find a role for her. They found one, and it's going to lead to this great match at SummerSlam. The next match we had on Monday Night Raw was the Kabuki Warriors of Asuka and Kairi Sane against the Judgment Day of Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez. Backstage, Finn Balor was saying, "Do it for Liv." So Liv Morgan's still fresh on the minds of the Judgment Day, and we still can't quite trust Finn Balor in his intentions there. He even encouraged Dom Mysterio to go ringside, which was interesting. Dom got involved in the match at one point, costing the Kabuki Warriors, and they even ate a shot from Asuka, but that allowed Perez to roll up Asuka for the win, and the Judgment Day does get the victory, but it exposed Dom Mysterio, as we saw later in the night. Adam Pearce called him out and said, "Hey, we're going to get those ribs checked out next week." Yeah,
this is a funny segment. The whole backstage thing, the match was great. I'm really growing on Roxanne and Raquel. I think they're fun on there. And then on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, talking about Finn Balor, can't trust him. He posts, the whole CEO thing at the Coldplay concert there.
Oh, yeah.
He posts, it was Dominic and Roxanne. And everybody knows why he posts that, right? Because in the storyline, Liv and Dom. Now he did that with Dom and Roxanne. It's like, oh, Finn. I think this is great. Just keep it rolling. And as for the actual in-ring match, I thought that was fun. Anytime you can have Dom Mysterio, on the sideline, it's a lot of fun. And we talk about it. They hadn't been giving a whole lot of matches, but now they have been. But the Judgment Day segments, those are probably one of my favorites. Like, just even if they just do something backstage, it's always a fun time, and it's going to be a great segment.
Yeah, and it's fascinating too how you can kind of turn some things. The whole Liv angle, with her injury is frustrating, and we've talked about one of my favorite wrestlers going right now, and I thought her character was on fire. So it sucks that they lost her because they had all these plans for her. She was feuding with like 3 or 4 different gals at the time, but it has turned into absolute gold for Roxanne Perez. What better way to join the WWE and give it a go than being able to join an established group with a lot of eyes on it. So I think it's been fantastic for Roxanne Perez. With a lot of these women as they come, men or women, when you come up to the main roster, it takes some time for fans to kind of decide one way or the other on you. And Roxanne's just kind of a made woman walking into the big league. So it's been good for her. Let's get to the Intercontinental Championship #1 contenders match. We mentioned it earlier. Lyra Valkyria ends up beating Bayley. This was a best 2 of 3 falls count here. So the loser, by the way, goes to the back of the line. It was part of the deal too. So we'll see what's next for Bayley. She did get a quick roll up for for pin #1. Lyra Valkyria, not too long after that, got a roll up in return, and then she was able to hit Nightwing for the win. And we do go with Valkyria against, moving up against Becky Lynch now at SummerSlam. Bayley versus Becky, of course, would have had a lot of good storylines to go into it as well. Do you think they went the right way with Lyra? And as we talked about earlier, is it too obvious, or that is she such a favorite now going into this, Lyra, just because of the good guy storytelling that it all seems to be surrounding it?
Yeah, I would have probably picked, for me, Bayley. I'm a little bit more behind Bayley. I thought that would have been fun. Bayley, Becky, they're 2 of the 4 horsewomen that we always bring up on there. But I thought this was a fun match. It's been forever since we've seen a best out of 3 falls. They don't really do that a whole lot anymore. So I thought that was a treat for us. But yeah, we kind of talked about it a little bit with the whole Lyra thing. We get it. She's give her a couple more years on there. They're trying to give her the rub, obviously beating Bayley a couple times. And she hasn't beaten Becky yet, but it's looking like that's where it's going to go. And then the other funny thing is, the whole, did you see what Becky Lynch was wearing when she came down to the ring? She was dressed like Hulk Hogan. She's gotten the Becky Hogan comparisons and all that. She knows what she's doing when she's doing that. So I thought that was a little fun.
Yeah, that red and yellow, any outfit you got that's red and yellow in a wrestling ring, you think Hogan, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
So I've seen that a few times this week. I was thinking, do they realize? I mean, because LA Knight does it too. It's like, and his whole thing is kind of the throwback classic wrestler. Yeah. So it's not by mistake either. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So are you telling me if you saw Lyra Valkyria live, would you be one of the people going, woo?
I don't know.
You don't think so?
I mean, I participated in a lot of those, but I don't know about that.
You're not that far. You're not that convinced.
No, I'm not.
I don't think I am either. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we get back, we'll talk more from Monday Night Raw. A lot of it helping set up SummerSlam, which is just a few weeks away here. So we'll jump into that coming up next year on Nuclear Heat on 93.7 The Ticket.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit ostreetcarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor in just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstorats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
Nebco is hiring CDL drivers for ready-mixed concrete in Lincoln. With 3 plants across the city, there are plenty of opportunities to start or grow your driving career. They offer great pay, medical and retirement benefits, paid time off, and they cover the cost of CDL training. Apply today and receive a $2,500 hiring bonus. Since 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today with ready-mixed concrete. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's nebcoinc.com.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Looking for a financial partner that truly makes a difference? Modern Woodman is a member-owned fraternal financial services organization. We can help you plan for all stages of life, from protection to saving to retirement. We also offer member benefits, social activities, and volunteer opportunities to help your family and community.
I'm Sean Erickson, your Modern Woodman representative in Lincoln. Call me at 402-483-6515 to start the conversation.
Modern Woodman of America, touching lives, securing futures.
Since 1983, Fast Mike's Roll-Offs have been a trusted and reliable company in Lincoln and the surrounding areas. Fast Mike's handles all sides of construction projects, home renovations, or big cleanouts. With the perfect size dumpster to fit your needs, Fast Mike's Roll-Offs will haul it all. With same-day delivery in Lincoln, affordable rates, and top-notch service, Fast Mike's Roll-Offs make cleanup quick and easy. Call now at 402-450-6828 or visit us online at fastmikesrolloffs.com. Book your dumpster today. Fast Mike's Roll-Offs, cleanup made simple.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
MHC isn't new, just a new name. Moe's Moving is now Moe's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered. Specializing in home, apartment, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can also handle your commercial moves as well. There's never fees on trucks, stairs, elevators, long carry, and last-minute booking, and no trip or fuel charges. Also no upcharge on weekends, and they do offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com.
Bagels and Joe is the best place to start off your mornings, and you can order your breakfast ahead of time on their app. You can't go wrong with one of their great bagel sandwiches or breakfast burritos. Stop by any of their 4 locations in Lincoln and their location in Seward. Bagels and Joe.
In every office, there's 2 types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels and Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels and Joe. Back to Nuclear Heat with your host, Jake Bockoven, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back here on Nuclear Heat, ready to talk some more wrestling here as we got to the early portion of Monday Night Raw as we were previewing SummerSlam coming up here in just a couple weeks. If you are preparing for that, August 1st and 2nd is I believe when 2nd and 3rd, when SummerSlam will be here. So just right around the corner. 2 weeks of programming in wrestling until we get there. So we'll have some fun leading up to it. Again, these matchups, a lot of these matchups set in this past week of wrestling, and we'll get some more context and some more punches in it. Punches in here in the next 2 weeks before we get there. We left off after Lyra Valkyria beat Bayley to become the number 1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship. And then we had Nikki Bella go against Chelsea Green. This was Bella's first singles match since 2018, which is surprising because I think they've done a good job of welcoming her back in. But there's certain wrestlers you miss more. And a lot of people would like the Diva, the Diva experience, the era, the Bellas. They had kind of their own entire era because they had a TV show that kind of followed it. But I don't know. Do you feel like Nikki Bella is getting enough of a return, enough hype around her return? Not enough? What's the feeling kind of there for you?
I feel like they're trying to do a good job. I mean, she got second in that Royal Rumble. A year ago, 2 years ago, she was second. And then she did decent in the Divas Battle Royal.
Yeah.
On there. But man, this is one of those. personal life. Personal life really matters. And like you said, she did a great job, and she's one of the pioneers, I would say, about what this era is. Had Total Divas and I think Total Bellas even.
Yeah, I think so.
On there. I hate to say it, but her relationship with John Cena also kind of pushed her in on there. But when you go through what she went through, she's going through a divorce right now. It's getting leaked that she has to pay a lot of money to her ex-husband and all that stuff. So people are like, oh, she's coming back. And also, I think just last year, before all that went down, she said that they weren't going to come back to the WWE. I think they changed their names back to their they got rid of using Bellas. I think they went back to the Garcia. And then people were like, oh, you got in legal trouble, financial trouble. You need to come back. WWE. I think that kind of sour in some people's minds on there. But, I always had fun with Nikki Bella, the Bella twins. Like you said, they were, from 2010 to about 2018 or so, they were the women's division. They were the two, especially Nikki. I think she held the championship like 5 times or so. They were always in major storylines and things like that. But I don't know. To each their own on that. Yeah. It's kind of like when like a Trish Stratus comes back. It's a great nostalgia feeling in there. But and Nikki can still put on in the ring. That's all fun. And things there, but they got to be careful on, who she's eliminating, who she's kind of doing storylines with. She was about to have a big one with Liv.
Right.
And that would have probably been a big thing for Evolution.
Yeah.
On there. So I and then they had a pivot to the Chelsea Green. That could be fun. On there. It looks like they're going with something there too, right?
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah. With that one, maybe they'll have a SummerSlam match there. But I think it's just right for her. Like I said, there's still a lot of fans that adore her and, think it's amazing, but there's a lot of people that pay attention to the personal life about it too. And so I think it's been pretty good for her.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those things too, it is the Bellas. And so I think if you bring back, the Hardys,
yeah,
if you only bring back one of the Hardys, there feels like there's something missing. One of the Dudleys, right? It's going to feel like there's something kind of missing. Though I would say that she is the Jeff Hardy of the group, right?
Yes.
Where maybe had some more single success than Brie did. But I think that's all going to play. And you made a fantastic point. Who knows what they're going to have her do, coming out of the gate before the injury to Liv. I mean, that felt like that was going to be big, and then they had to pivot here. So I suppose all that's true. In any case, in this match, Nikki Bella and Chelsea Green. Bella does eliminate Green and Secret Hervis, or she did, eliminate Green and Secret Hervis from the Evolution Battle Royale. So that's kind of what we had going into this. Chelsea Green started talking trash in the back to Stephanie Vacquier for some reason. That would come back to bite her here. Bella did fight off the Secret Hervis interruption there to score the win off the Rack Attack 2.0, but the Secret Hervis pounced on her after the match. Stephanie Vacquier comes in and makes the save. Good for Vacquier to kind of get, again, the Bella rub.
Yeah.
But also I kind of think with her too, there's a bit of kind of a mystique behind her, even the ram head, horns or whatever. Yeah. I kind of feel the same way about Penta. I don't know if I want classic, like if you got a unique character, I don't need you like rubbing next to a veteran to get the rub.
Yeah.
I kind of like you kind of doing your own thing in Rising and kind of had this mystique around you. So it's not that it's not like the Undertaker or Kane where they have superpowers or magic in wrestling like Bray Wyatt. So it's a little bit different, but they just feel like they don't feel like you're just going to run into a bar at them like as is and just carry on a conversation. And sometimes Penta's very much fallen into that now with kind of his storytelling. And I thought Vacquier kind of the same type of thing here.
Yeah. They can go down, that path with her. I'm kind of curious about the save with Nikki Bella too. Sorry, I'll go on this. Because Nikki Bella mispronounced her name that first night.
That's right.
So that kind of bugs me a little bit because her last name isn't Vasquez or whatever she called her on there. So, it looks like they're going on there. But yeah, it's right. Back here. Wow, I was about to call her Vasquez. Stephanie Vacquier, though, she's got some great thing. Great talk about, somebody coming in with great momentum. Has she been pinned? I don't think she's really been pinned. I think if she loses, it's been interference or, she won the Battle Royale. So, that was kind of big there too. So yeah, they kind of have some things there too, but man, you bring up the whole Penta thing, they're at least with Stephanie Vacquier, they're taking care of her. Cause they're not taking care of Penta anymore, man. That was such a big hype. And his brother Ray Phoenix, they've just been thrown to the dogs, and they're the guys that are going to take the pins now.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. And remember, Valkyrie does have, like you said, she won that battle royal, so she does have a championship opportunity waiting for her after SummerSlam in Paris. So just kind of keep her character hot. Again, kind of doing something with Chelsea Green and team with Bella makes a lot of sense there. So we'll see what they do next. But am excited again for Chelsea Green, at least to get a little bit more of an opportunity to get some screen time. We'll just say that. Adam Pearce tells New Day they have to earn a rematch for their tag team titles. Not just going to be given to him. As we mentioned earlier, he also told Dom his ribs will be evaluated next week, which will be tomorrow. I saw they throw out a graphic for the tag team titles, and again, Judgment Day has them right now. Tomorrow night they'll have a three-way battle there, and New Day will be a part of it. Chad Gable's group, although Chad Gable's no longer with them, the Creed brothers are in there, and as well as
Ivy Nile.
No, not Ivy Nile. It's what is now I'm kind of forgetting the opposite of LWO. They haven't been on TV for a while.
Oh, the Lagarmo,
yeah. Umberto,
yeah.
Yeah, so those two. So it's not the most exciting. I don't even know. I say all that just to say I'm not excited for that match, and it's because I don't know. I say this every week. It just feels like they've lost completely whatever they had with New Day. Now New Day's kind of turning this like funny characters that are still grieving their title reign. It doesn't feel like it's working for me, and like when I saw that graphic, I just said I could care who less, and I really care who the Judgment Day face because I'm a big fan of the tag titles and want to see Dom. Want to see them keep those. But I just sometimes tag team wrestling just isn't doing great for me in WWE.
Yeah, and the whole Biggie thing, they had an opportunity to do something great. They were like the biggest heels, and they just got forgotten about. I mean, they defended our title like twice, once against the Viking Raiders, and then the Warriors. I don't know what they're calling it. I know they're not Vikings anymore. They're just Warriors or whatever.
War Raiders.
War Raiders. There you go. Too many names, man. Too many name changes. And like you said, they went from being full on heels to now they're back. They lost it, and they're these funny characters that it's funny. Don't get me wrong, but they were going up.
Yeah.
And now it seems like they just went down, and they're back to their in a heel way. They're just back to being the New Day.
Yeah.
So, they're So I get you. It just, and then the tag team titles. I mean, man, Judgment Day has them. I think that's fun. That's fine, but they're just recycling around the same. At this point, just have John Cena, Cody Rhodes do the whole John Cena, Shawn Michaels things. They're going to fight each other, but let's have them go after those tag team titles. Something fun like that. CM Punk said, do something fun like that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's what you need to shake it up, because it's been the same 4 teams like 5 years. 5 years about it, and one of them is the War Raiders. I mean, we know we're not big fans of them. Great guys, but it gets very boring at times.
Well, and if you're not not tired of the same teams on Raw, wait till I tell you about SmackDown's division. So again, I think it is. It just feels a little bit repetitive there. Though they're trying to break in a little bit of something on SmackDown. Gunther comes out, brags about ending the myth that is Goldberg, then asks who's next. Braun Breaker and Paul Heyman claim it's Breaker. Heyman even called Breaker the big dog and claimed it was his yard. Yeah. So maybe foreshadowing the events at the end of the night. But this whole episode was interesting because it was framed around Braun Breaker, maybe rising out of that group and going after the championship. And of course, the crowd reacted fairly enough. There's enough people barking out there in the crowd. So he was the guy that I wouldn't necessarily expected to win this gauntlet match, but they really framed it around him, and he was the star of the gauntlet match. Yeah. He mid-air speared Pento, we talked about first, to eliminate him. Then he speared LA Knight, who came in second, had a good enough fight in there. Jey Uso came out, ran his music back waving throughout in the middle of a gauntlet match. I don't think you'll see that too often. No. He ends up getting interfered by Bronson Reed. And that allows Breaker to get the victory over Uso, and CM Punk is the final opponent in the gauntlet match. Reed and Uso, of course, get involved. CM Punk ends up hitting the GTS for the win. Though they said Breakker was out there for like 35 plus minutes. The heels attack after the match, and Roman Reigns returns and clears out the bad guys with CM Punk and Jey Uso standing in the ring. So out of all of it, Braun Breaker looks like a star. CM Punker and Gunther will be at SummerSlam, and Roman Reigns is back. So a lot going on in that gauntlet match.
Yeah, and you know what? It was a fun gauntlet match other than Penta and LA Knight, getting fed to Braun Breaker, but, whatever there. That's for another day. But the interesting thing, I don't know if you caught this, but it really bugged me. When Bronson Reed interfered, the ref was looking right at him. I don't know if that was supposed to happen or not, but then Michael Cole says, this is a gauntlet match. It's no disqualification. I've never, in my 32 years, being a WWE fan, all that stuff, I've never heard of a gauntlet match being a no disqualification.
Yeah.
I feel like that was on the fly because the ref wasn't supposed to be watching. But then that just opened up the can of worms to just the whole thing was, Bronson Reed was just helping Braun Breaker the whole time. But, other than that, it was fun. CM Punk getting the win. I think we both kind of predicted it either be him or Braun Breaker. But yeah, Braun Breaker was a star. I thought, maybe CM Punk's not going to be the guy. Then they switched it up. So I thought that was fun. And now, we're going to get the CM Punk Gunther thing. We got Roman Reigns coming back. A lot of fun stuff happening.
Yeah. And I also thought there's a big opportunity that they might go with Jey Uso and Gunther for round 3. So I'm glad they kind of went a different route. Punk and Gunther definitely feels a lot better there. And again, we'll see kind of what happens with Breaker. Because Breaker and Reed against Uso and Reigns seems to be what's coming up. But I would love Breaker versus Reigns just for more intrigue of what they're kind of building. Paul Heyman in his corner. You can kind of put that match on and build it up slowly rather than kind of having them both take out. But then, what's there to do for Jey Uso? We look at SummerSlam and all the people are on the card. There's still LA Knight. There's still folks that aren't on the card. So we'll have to see kind of what they do there. But an exciting ending to Monday Night Raw, certainly, that leaves us with that gives us a lot of answers and leaves us with a lot of questions. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back and we will we'll review some SmackDown. Yeah.
Yep.
At a SummerSlam here on 93.7 The Ticket on Nuclear Heat.
Breaking here at the news desk. When you stack Allo Internet, DirecTV, and mobile, you can lock in your price for 2 years. Sources are confirming that when you stack Allo Internet, DirecTV, and mobile, your monthly price drops and you're locked in for 2 years. That's fiber fast internet, premium streaming TV, and reliable nationwide mobile coverage. And this just in, you must switch by Labor Day to secure that locked-in pricing for 2 years. Switch, stack, and save at allofiber.com/stack.
Midwest Bank is now hiring in Lincoln. They have multiple banking positions open and are looking for dynamic individuals passionate about helping others and building relationships. With a family-friendly culture, competitive benefits, and unique perks, Midwest Bank is a great place to start a new career. Apply today at midwest.bank. Midwest Bank is an equal opportunity employer, member FDIC.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit OStreetCarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor in just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Back to Nuclear Heat with your host, Jake Bockoven on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, we still got a few minutes to review SmackDown here from Friday night on Nuclear Heat on 93.7 The Ticket, our WWE Week in Review show. Once again, I'm Jake Bockoven alongside Nuclear Heat contributor and my tag team partner, Augie Pena. As we jump through here on Nuclear Heat, our final segment, and get into SmackDown, it was an interesting. I described it earlier as it felt like it was booked out of like a 2007 video game, but here we were. In any case, it started with a car accident
We didn't know who was involved except for that Solo Sikoa and his crew were kind of banged up. So, you would figure maybe Jacob Fatu was going to be involved here. We'll get back into that later in the night. We opened the action with Charlotte Flair against Raquel Rodriguez. This after Flair admitted in the back that she used her power that she already has as a singles wrestler to get the tag match at SummerSlam. So it'll be Flair and Bliss versus the Judgment Day. So we would see a little bit of preview of this. Roxanne Perez and Alexa Bliss were at ringside. Ultimately, Raquel Rodriguez Roxanne Perez was distracting the ref, and it allowed Alexa Bliss to use that time to get Raquel Rodriguez in the ropes, and then Charlotte Flair finished her off to get the win. So kind of slow prodding match, kind of interesting to see Charlotte Flair and Raquel Rodriguez. We talked about Raquel, if she's kind of getting better, her character certainly is, her in-ring certainly is. This might have been a little bit of a step back with one of the best to ever do it in the ring. So it was kind of interesting in that way as well. But what do you think about, ultimately, I just loved that, we didn't know what we were going to get coming out of Evolution, whether, they were going to give up on the Flair Bliss stuff. And what was kind of particularly funny in this match is commentary was really trying to put over the fact that WWE Universe was getting behind Flair and Bliss. Like, they would say it every 30 seconds. And you're like, okay, we get it. We understand our role now. We're supposed to cheer Flair and Bliss. But ultimately, I really wanted to see this because they're letting Flair get a little bit outside of her normal character just to kind of look down on everybody and perhaps have an alliance here with Bliss. And so I think the newness and a kind of excitement level for them, along kind of the newness of Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez, we talked about the men's tag team division kind of being a rough spot. This feels fresh. This feels new. This feels exciting.
Yeah, it's really fun because, Alexa Bliss, come on, that's Alexa Bliss, so that helps there. But yeah, having Charlotte just play this fun character for a change, I think that's great. They're wearing the "We're Not Friends" shirts. They're doing all that. Charlotte's even doing her hair like, just different.
Yeah.
On there. So I really do enjoy it, but it does make me nervous because as we kind of talked about it with the Judgment Day side on the women's side of it, you want them to retain because you want the storyline to go until Liv comes back. But man, with that Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, that's fun. You want them to succeed. The only way I think you can really have them succeed is if they take those titles away at SummerSlam. On there. And I do like Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. I like what they're doing. Raquel does look better. And I do agree with you. Just a little bit of a step back. You maybe wanted it to end in a disqualification, no contest, something like that, other than a straight, pin, like it happened. And so, there's something there. So the WWE's got to watch itself on what it's going to do with long story. Or, kind of like what I said, they need to do on the men's side, put these two great, single stars, have this fun storyline and, see where it can go. Will it eventually be one of those, they're best friends and then, they turn on each other and that becomes a one-on-one match there, but I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I'm thinking at some point they will. I was just glad they didn't get to it right away. And we can kind of have some fun with this new Charlotte Flair character. So we'll see. I think that's some good stuff. And I don't think they can go wrong there. Like, you point out the reason Judgment Day definitely could win that match. Either one, I wouldn't be too upset with. Our next matchup was Carmelo Hayes and Damian Priest. This was set up from a little trash talk in the back, and Carmelo Hayes, he's not winning too many matches this time in lately, I should say. Didn't get a chance to here. Aleister Black interrupted and hits Black Mass on Damian Priest. Carmelo Hayes just runs away. Again, this is not too much about Carmelo Hayes. This was more about setting up Damian Priest and Aleister Black. Interesting because Aleister Black just kind of came back with the company. Damian Priest, of course, former world champ now. They're trying to find a role for him. Is Black and Priest a feud working for you yet?
Not really. You kind of forget that both of them are still there. I kind of did. I haven't thought of those two in a while there. Especially with like Damian Priest, former champ, all that stuff. And Aleister Black, like you said, he came back. I guess he had a good run on AEW. So it has a cool look. Has the eye thing, like it has everything there, but they just, they're not really doing much with him. So, they're trying to put him against a former champion, and we'll see if that does anything.
Yeah, definitely. If you're a fan of darker wrestlers, characters, these are the two. but I think they've got to get a little bit of something more kind of behind this. So we'll kind of see if it leads to anything. Certainly those two are going to feud, but yeah, there's got to be a little bit more behind it. I don't know if Carmelo Hayes necessarily needs to be involved. No. Then we saw Jacob Fatu end up being released by the police. He was the person of interest in the car accident from early in the night. He heads toward the ring where Solo and his crew are already bragging there in the ring. He actually was greeted by Jimmy Uso in the back. So both of them go to the ring and take out the bad guys, though Talatanga didn't go down easily. A little bit disappointed he went down at all. Sometimes you protect the Giants. Remember AJ Styles in Omos. It took like a year for Omos to actually be knocked down. Talatanga not necessarily getting that sort of build, I suppose. Adam Pearce announces Sikoa and Fatu at SummerSlam in a steel cage match, and the police come and arrest Solo Sikoa there at the end. So again, very, very video game storyline from back in the day, but kind of worked out here. You see how they kind of found a way to get a cage involved to get a steel cage match. The only thing that I was very disappointed by was Jacob Fatu, who's supposed to be the good guy here. Well, first of all, I was disappointed by the acting skills of the police that they hired, which as they usually do, they're wrestlers coming up through NXT or whatever. But they didn't make them look like professional. They looked like professional wrestlers dressed up as police officers. They didn't make them look like police officers. But I also thought it was weird that Jacob Fatu kept saying punk ass police, which is just not a good thing to really put out there at all. And so it was just kind of weird with his background. Which he's had, real life brush-ins with the law, and then just to kind of provide his character, who's supposed to be the good guy we're cheering for, looking down or just trying to, just saying that about the police, even though it was the fake police. Like I would get it if he was just kind of talking about that group of police, because that group of police looked particularly bad, and maybe that's what they thought was. Maybe they knew they did a poor job, and it was maybe hoping to come across like that. But that I just thought did not come across well.
No, it didn't. And, this is one of those confusing times where I just think WWE's kind of running out of ideas to do. Jacob is supposed to be the good guy, but he's supposed to be the Samoan Wolverine, kind of have that attitude to him. So there's kind of with that. But this whole storyline thing, we talked about it. I was excited about, all that stuff, Solo and Jacob and all that fun stuff, but this scene just kind of really, I don't know. This whole setup was just, like you said, it's cartoonish. It was like a cutscene, all that fun stuff. So I don't know.
I could have skipped that altogether, I think. But at least I think we'll just forget all about it. The cage match should be good. So that'll be exciting. And then we saw the Stephanie McCure defeat Alba Fire, and also took down Piper Niven afterwards. We got to go kind of quickly here. So we'll just kind of get through that. Andrade and Rey Fenix won a matchup between DIY, Fraxium, Motor City Machine Guns, and themselves to earn a championship match versus the Wyatt Six. I thought that was the right decision. If anything can save the tag team division, it's a new team, and Andrade and Rey Fenix at least feel fresh there. Then we had the contract signing of John Cena trying to get out of the match. Basically just saying he's too busy. It's overwhelming for him. And Cody Rhodes attacks him, forces him to sign, and announces it's a street fight, which interesting because obviously, again, the long-term storytelling was that he was not able to kind of be the bad guy at the opportune time at WrestleMania. This is going to force him to pick up weapons and to kind of go through with it. So I get that there, but I think Cena Rhodes was big enough that I don't think they need to add a stipulation.
Well, I would agree with that, but then you look at the details about it, and, a lot of things happen in this one here. John Cena was acting very babyfacious. He kept apologizing. I know he was trying to do the heel get out of it, but he kept apologizing, acting kind of like the real John Cena. Cody Rhodes uses the belt finally, which looked horrible, by the way. He missed by a mile, and you could see that. But two, Cody Rhodes is wearing the watch that The Rock gave to him. So we got some things going on for SummerSlam. Street fight, obviously the title, they're going to use all that stuff. But there's a lot of things that are kind of brewing here. John Cena baby turn. Cody Rhodes heel turn, The Rock coming back. I mean, there's a lot of great things that can happen. I mean, I'm
don't
just saying,
do this to yourself again.
I'm doing it.
I'm
getting hyped up. And like you said, we're going to be doing this show in 2 weeks. The match is probably going to be going on. We're going to be live reacting to it, so it's going to be a fun time. And I hope they do all that stuff because that would be great stuff to talk about. There.
Yeah, we'll see. Remember, last SummerSlam was kind of Judgment Day's fallout.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see if they're going to have a big angle around that as well. So SummerSlam should be a lot of fun. Like we were saying, maybe not every step was perfect this week, but the card looks really good for SummerSlam here coming up. That'll wrap it up for Nuclear Heat tonight. Thanks, Doggy, for jumping on. Thanks to you guys out there for listening. We will be bright and early with early break as far as local programming at 6 o'clock. Join us as it is Big Ten Media Week as well. We'll see you in the morning.